Welcome to today's lesson. We are going to look at volume. Volume refers to the amount of space occupied by matter, and matter is anything that has mass and it occupies space. It is a derived quantity and it is derived from length. The SI unit of volume is cubic meter. Note the m is small m. We have multiples and sub-multiples of cubic meter as tabulated below. We have 1 cubic meter equivalent to 1 million cubic centimeter, 1 cubic centimeter equivalent to 1000 cubic millimeter, 1 cubic meter equivalent to 1 billion cubic millimeter, and 1 kilometer cubed equivalent to 1 billion cubic meter. Then we have 1 cubic meter equivalent to 1000 liters, 1 liter equivalent to 1000 milliliters, and finally we have 1 liter being equivalent to 1 decimeter cubic. Then we have conversion of units of volume. We start with an example where you're supposed to express the following volume in cubic centimeter. We have the first one 28 cubic millimeter and the second one 0.04 cubic meter. Let us look at how we proceed. We always start by writing the equivalent, that is 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 1000 cubic millimeter. Remember, we are converting cubic millimeter to cubic centimeter. Then after that, we write the units that are similar on one side. So we have this on this side, that is 28 millimeter cubed. After that, we cross multiply. After cross multiplication, we are going to get that x is being multiplied by 1000. A note to indicate the units. Then after that, we want to get the value of x and we are multiplying by 1000. So to get the value of x, we do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we divide by 1000 both sides. We have this side, we will be left with x, and this side we have the whole of this, then divided by 1000. Then after that, we divide the units. We want to show how the units are cancelling out, so that we are left with only one unit here, cubic centimeter. After that, then we divide. We have 28 divided by 1000, which will give you 0.028 cubic centimeter. We move to the second part of our example. We are converting 0.004 cubic meter. Remember, now we start with the equivalent, then we cross multiply. After cross multiplication, we have this x is being multiplied by this, then 0.04 is being multiplied by 1 million. To get the value of x here, which is our unknown, we divide through by 1 cubic meter. After dividing, we cancel the units that are similar. So we are left with the unit, only one unit on this side. So that now we have that our x is equivalent to 4000 cubic centimeter. We move to volume of regular shaped solids. Now when you have regularly shaped solids, we obtain their volume by applying the appropriate formula. We start by cuboid. We have that when we have the cuboid, we get the length multiplied by breadth and the height. And as you are going to see, whenever we are talking of the volume, we always talk of base area times height. The base is length times breadth, then multiplied by height. That is cuboid. We move to a cone. A cone, we have a third pi r squared height. Then we have cylinder. Again, cylinder is the area of cross-section multiplied by height. The cross-sectional area is this one. It is circular, that is pi r squared, then multiplied by our height. We move to triangular prism. As you can see, the base will be this one. It is triangular prism. So it will be a half base times height. That will give us the area of the base, then times the length, because it will be act as our height. Base area times height. Then finally we have the sphere. For the sphere, we use this formula. V is equals to 4/3 pi r cubed. Make sure that you are able to remember all these formulas so that you can apply them in our calculations. Then we move to examples. We have the first one. A ream of foolscaps contains 500 papers and has a mass of 2 kilograms. The size is 300 millimeter by 100 millimeter by 50 millimeter. Find, number one, the thickness of one sheet of paper. We proceed as follows. We know that the thickness is this one, 100, and this thickness is for 500. Now, to get the thickness of one sheet of paper, we get the thickness of this 500, we divide by the number of papers, which is 0.2 millimeters. So when we convert this into meters, you are supposed to divide by 1,000. You get that it is 0.0002 meters. That is the thickness. We move to the second part. We are supposed to get the mass of one sheet. But remember, we are given the mass of 500, which is 2 kg. Again, we say that mass of one paper will be the mass, the 2 kg divided by the number of papers. And when you divide 2 divided by 500, you get 0.004 kilogram. We move to the third part of the question. We are supposed to get the volume of the rim. We are given the dimensions here. The dimensions are given. So you just need to use the formula for the cuboid. You have length times width times height. So you just multiply 300 times 100 times 50. You get that it is 1.5 million cubic millimeter. You convert that into meter cubed, you get 0.0015 cubic meter. Finally, you are supposed to get the volume of one sheet. Remember, what we have calculated here is the volume of 500 papers. So to get the volume of one sheet, we have that the volume of 500 is this one. So the volume of one paper will be this value divided by the number of papers, which is 0.0015 divided by 500. You get that it is 0.000003 cubic meters. We proceed to another example. A block of glass is 5.0 centimeter long, 4.0 centimeter thick, and 2.5 centimeter high. Note that when we are writing 5.0, it is the same as 5. But remember, when we are looking about length, we said that the accuracy is to 1 decimal point. So that is why we are writing 5.0 for the accuracy, 4.0. Now, when you want now to get the volume, we just apply the formula. Length times breadth times height. Substitute the values. Remember, we have said that whenever you are dealing with calculations, always start with the formula and then you substitute. After substitution, then multiply your values. 5 by 4 by 2.5. You get that it is 50 cubic centimeter. You convert that into SI unit. Then we move to the third one. Find the volume of cylindrical tin of radius 7 and height 3.0 centimeter. Again, we start by formula. Volume of tin is equals to pi r squared, that is the base area of the cross-sectional area, multiplied by height. So you start by writing 22/7, that is your pi. The radius is given as 7, then multiplied by 7, and then we have 3.0 centimeter. This will cancel out, so you are left with, when you multiply 22 by 7 by 3, you get 462.0 cubic centimeter. You convert that again into cubic meter. Then we proceed to another example. Find the volume of a triangular prism if base is equals to 6, height is 5, and length is 12 centimeter. Start by writing the formula. Area of cross-section multiplied by length. The area will be a half base times height, then you multiply by length. So finally, when you multiply, you get that as your value, 180.0 cubic centimeter. You proceed and convert it into cubic meter. Remember, it is important when you are working, you work with SI unit. You work with SI unit. Then we have another example. A sphere of diameter 6.0 millimeter is molded into a uniform wire of diameter 0.2. Note that it is the sphere that is being changed the shape to a thin wire. Calculate the length of the wire. What you're supposed to note is that the volume is not changing. We have now that the volume of the sphere should be equal to the volume of the wire. So you are changing the shape, but the volume remains. So you apply the formula to get the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. We are using a capital R here to differentiate. Capital R is for the sphere, the radius of the sphere, and the small r is for the wire. So after that, now we substitute. We are given the diameter of the sphere, so we can be able to get the radius. If the diameter is 6.0, then the radius will be half of this, which is 3.0. So on the side of the sphere we have 4/3 our pi, then radius. It is radius cubed. Then on the other side of the wire we have pi, then our diameter was 0.2. So our radius will be 0.1. Again, we divide by 2 to get the radius. And then what we are looking for is length. So first of all, we multiply these values. And after multiplying all the values here, you get 36 cubic millimeter. And when you multiply this side, you get 0.01 millimeter squared. And then you have your L, that is the length. Now to get L, remember here we have multiplication. To get L, you divide through by 0.01. And when you divide, you get 3,600 millimeter. You can proceed and convert that into meters. Then we move to measurement of volume of liquids. One method, we are using a container with uniform cross-section area. You have a container like this. You want to get the volume of the liquid that is inside this container. So first of all, you must ensure that you know the dimensions of this container. After getting the dimensions, you pour the liquid that you want to measure its volume. Then after that, you use the formula of calculating the volume of a cylinder. The height now will be the height of your liquid. Therefore, your volume of liquid will be cross-sectional area, which is this one, this area, then times height of the liquid. That way, you are able to get the volume of the liquid that is inside that container. Then we have another method. That one was using a cross-sectional area or a container with known dimensions. Then the other method is when you are using a suitable volume measuring apparatus, and we have them in our laboratories. This one, you just pour the liquid and ensure that you get the reading. We have pipette, burette, volumetric flask, and silage. Pipette and volumetric flask, these one are used to measure fixed volumes. For instance, you want maybe to transfer 50 ml of a certain liquid. You just pick a pipette. Or you want to transfer another volume. It is measuring a fixed volume. Then we have that the following apparatus are used to approximately measure the volume of liquids in laboratory. One, we have measuring cylinder, graduated beakers, conical flasks. These three, you use them to approximate the volume of the liquid in the laboratory, especially when you are doing experiments. Then we move to burette. When we have a burette, it is marked such that the zero mark is at the top. The zero mark is at the top and the maximum value is at the bottom. You can be able to see this diagram. The zero mark is at the top, then the maximum value is at the bottom. So how do you use it? We can look at the example and then we can be able to know how to use the burette. Water level in a burette is 24. We are given that the water level is at 24. If 100 drops of water fall from the burette, we are removing. So we are reducing the volume. And the average volume of one drop is this one. What will be the final level of water in the burette? Remember, we have said that we are starting from the minimum 0. So as you remove, then it means that the level is supposed to increase. So we proceed as follows. We have that the volume of one drop is 0.12. We are given. So what about 100 drops? 100 times the volume of one drop. You get that it is 12 cubic centimeter. So this is the cubic centimeter that is being removed. Remember, we are saying that the 100 drops of water fall. And because the scale is increasing downward, then it implies that when you want to get the final water level, you are supposed to add to the initial. So initial level was 24, then you add 12, you get that now the new volume will be 36 cubic centimeter. So note that the maximum is at the bottom, the minimum is at the top. We proceed to measuring cylinder. When you are using measuring cylinder, when you pour liquid inside the measuring cylinder, you find that it curves and it forms what we call a meniscus. This curve is called a meniscus. Now to get the volume, you just position your eye with the level of meniscus and get the reading, because measuring cylinder is graduated in cubic centimeter or milliliter. So you can be able just to get the reading. But remember, you are getting the reading at the bottom of meniscus. Then we proceed to measuring of irregularly shaped solids. How do you measure the volume of a stone? We have one method that we call displacement method. And this is where now you place the solid inside the liquid, and then you can be able to see the volume of water that is displaced. That is why we are calling it displaced method. So conditions under which displacement method works: one, that solid should not be soluble in the liquid. Then it should not react with the liquid, and that solid should sink, because we want it to be fully submerged so that it can displace some fluid or some liquid. Therefore, you are able to know the amount of volume that is displaced. So it must sink. Then it should not absorb the liquid. We proceed to methods. We have one, the requirements. We need stone, thread, measuring cylinder, water, Eureka can, floater, and a sinker. We are going to use these apparatus or requirements for several methods. Method 1, when we are using measuring cylinder. Procedure. We are supposed to partly fill the measuring cylinder with water and call it, and note that volume to be V1. Note the volume to be V1 of that, of water. Then tie the stone with a thread and lower it gently in the cylinder until it is fully covered by water or fully submerged. Then note the new volume. You call it V2. We have this. The first value was V1 here. Remember again, when you are using the measuring cylinder, to get the reading of your volume below the meniscus. So this is V1. Then after putting your stone inside this liquid or this water, the water rises. So you have your V2. Again, you read at the bottom of the meniscus. Now to get now the volume of this stone, it will be the volume V2, this one, the new volume, minus the initial volume. That way now you are able to get the volume of the stone. And that volume of the stone is the same as the volume of liquid displaced. We move to the second method. We are using Eureka can. We fill the Eureka can with water until it overflows. Then you wait for the water to stop overflowing. Remember, a Eureka can has a spout. Then place the measuring cylinder under the spout and tie the stone. The stone is what you want to measure its volume. You lower it gently. Then, because of when you lower it gently, it will displace some water, and that water will be corrected under the measuring cylinder. We have it here in our diagram. This is our spout. So the water level has been put up to this level, and ensure that when you are putting the measuring cylinder, nothing is coming out from the spout. Then you lower your stone. Then the water is corrected by, the displaced water is corrected by the measuring cylinder. So the volume of the water corrected is the same as the volume of the stone. You just need to read from your measuring cylinder and get the volume of the stone. We proceed to method number 3, where we now want to measure an object that is floating, a floater. And in this case, remember we said one of the requirements is that the object must sink. So we must use a sinker. And we proceed as follows. We put the water the way we've done, but now, first in our first case, we need to measure the volume of what we are calling the sinker. After putting the water up to this level, and you have your measuring cylinder, put the sinker. The sinker is the material that is sinking. Then after that, remove the sinker and tie the floater together with the sinker. In the second diagram, we have the floater and the sinker together. And then you put your measuring cylinder and correct the water. Remember, V1 will be the volume of the sinker alone, but V2 will be the volume of the floater and the sinker. Now, to get now the volume of our floater, we have that the volume of the cork, which is our floater, is given by V2, this is the volume combined, minus V1, which is the volume of the sinker alone. That way, you are able to get the volume of an object that is floating. You have to use a sinker. Then we proceed to examples. Determine the volume of water in the cylinder shown below. We have this. If a stone of 6 cubic centimeters is inserted to sink in water in the above cylinder, what will be the new water level? So you first of all get the reading from the bottom of the meniscus. And if you look closely, if you are able to read here, you're supposed to get that it is 33 cubic centimeter. So we are told that the stone of 6 cubic centimeter is inserted. So the new level will be, after putting the stone, the new level will rise. So the new level will be initial level plus the volume of the stone. So you add 33, which is our reading here, then plus 6, you find that the final or the new level will be 39 cubic centimeter. We proceed to a quiz. Quiz yourself. Convert the following units into SI unit. You are supposed to work very hard. Ensure that you are able to get the correct answers. And if you forget, it's always good to refer to your notes until you understand all the concepts. Then after understanding, come and attempt your quiz. Thank you and welcome to the other